I've been to all three axis of evil countries, actually, in the last 4 years, including North Korea. I'm the only writer who can claim to have done this, and Iraq. And it took me a long time, but now I do know what it would be like. Well, the question is, how to answer the question I had when I was little, what would it be like to have to praise someone all the time, from the moment you got up till the moment you lay down again? And that would be your only right, and your only recreation, and it would be the only culture that you had. Because in North Korea, that's what you get to do. In North Korea, you can praise the dear leader, and you can praise the great leader. The great leader and the dear leader are, in fact, the same person. They're reincarnations of each other, according to the dogma. The place is only one step short of a trinity. The dear leader, who we lampoon, the little dwarf, is only the head of the party and the army, not of the state. His father's head of the state. Father's dead now, has been dead for some years, but he's still the head of the state and will be forever. North Korea is therefore what one might call, I tried to call, a necrocracy, or a mausolocracy, perhaps, or a thanatocracy. And you have the right only to praise and adore and thank for every single thing that you get. You owe thanks to these people. That's what it would feel like. The most unending pointlessness, the most unending nothingness, nullity, smashing of the personality, destruction of everything that counts as self-respect or dignity. But at least you can die and get out of North Korea. And you cannot do this with Abrahamic religion, which I therefore renounce as something essentially evil. Now, one consequence of its man-made character, and one way of demonstrating beyond very much doubt that it is man-made, is its proliferation. We have, I think, two choices here. Either man-made God or God made man. If it's the former, nothing much remains to be explained. If it's God made man, it's very hard to see why there are so many religions and why they're constantly at war with one another. Make the opposite assumption, that man has invented religion and God. Nothing is left to be explained. There is no mystery. There are, of course, innumerable proliferating cults, sects, confessional discrepancies, warring churches, schismatic groups. Most of the violence in Iraq, as we know, is not directed at our own brave soldiers and their allies among Iraqis, but at other Iraqis by other Muslims, who think it's cultural to blow up each other's mosques, something a secularist would never agree to do, to blow up, say, the Golden Dome at Samarra. We know from pre-monotheistic times, we know from Sophocles and Antigone, that any person of ordinary morality has a natural resistance to desecration, to profanity. We wouldn't do that. They would leave it to the religious to do it, which you always can. The last time American troops were needed in a context like this, it was because the Christians of Bosnia and Herzegovina and Croatia were tearing each other's throats out, burning each other's churches, killing each other's children, all of it with a divine warrant. All of them, every last one of them, a faith-based. On that occasion, the Muslims were the most civilized people in the case. It doesn't make any difference. Almost everybody gets, as it were, their turn at bat to be the most intolerant among religious. But to say that this is man-made, it seems to me to say something that's almost obvious. Now, I'm saying all this. I'm saying all this in the United States, where I must now say something I've been waiting for months to say, actually years to say, my fellow Americans. Thank you. I sometimes think you don't understand how lucky you are. Yours is the country that has the only constitution ever written that absolutely insists on the separation of these ideas from the state. When the Baptists of Danbury, Connecticut wrote to Mr. Jefferson calling for a wall of separation, they were worried about what? Who did they think was going to persecute them? The Congregationalists of Danbury, Connecticut was the one they were afraid of. And rightly so, because the Congregationalists would have given them a really hard time if they'd been allowed to, if they could have seized any local power. This fighting, not just about religion, but between the religious, this desire to have the freedom not just of religion, but from religion, is enshrined in the founding documents of this country in a way that should make you very proud. And it should therefore put you very much on your guard that there are people who don't seem content with it, who seem always to wish to impose their own religious belief on this. To say, if only we could ban alcohol, as in the 20s, we'd have a more pure and perfect union. If only we could forbid the teaching of evolution, or get equal time for pseudoscience, like the alchemy class that follows the chemistry period in presumably these schools. or the astrology class that comes after the astronomy studies moment. Everything will be fine. Resist this with every fibre of your being.